course, we'll talk about Ed Gein, the man who inspired hundreds of horror movies. Ed Gein is often referred to as a serial killer, but technically that's not true. Our boy Ed here was born in Wisconsin in 1906. His mother, Augusta, was incredibly religious and followed a strict moral code that she forced Ed Gein and his brother to adhere to. She basically taught them that the whole world was immoral and women specifically were just these dirty, disgusting instruments of Satan. She also hated her husband, Ed's father, who was also a violent alcoholic. So yeah, this is one where his childhood can really help us understand how he ended up the way that he did. Ed's father died in 1940 due to heart failure, and then his brother died in 1944 from a fire. It's thought that Ed might have started that fire and lured his brother into it, but that's never been proven. So that obviously left him and his mother all alone. Now, it's said that Ed was basically really hung up and obsessed with his mother, and when she passed away in 1945, he was absolutely devastated. And he even kept her room in pristine condition exactly the way that she had left it, and basically convinced herself that she wasn't dead and was still alive. Sound familiar? That's right. Ed is indeed the inspiration behind what I believe to be the greatest horror movie of all time. But that's not the only reason. In 1957, a woman named Bernice Worden went missing in broad daylight. And because of some strange behavior that Ed exhibited in her store the day before, her son was basically immediately able to pinpoint that it was probably him. And when police show up to his house, they find some interesting things. They do sadly find Bernice's body, and it was not intact. In addition, they discover what is described as a stomach-wrenching chamber of horror. This included bowls made of human skulls, masks made from the flesh of real people lining the walls, a lampshade made of human skin, a belt made of women's nipples, and human vests made from women's breasts. They also found 9 vulvas in a shoebox in his room. How did he get all these parts? He must have been a serial killer, right? Wrong. He was actually a grave robber. Again, people often refer to him as a serial killer, but the way he got all these body parts was from robbing graves at night. He later confessed that the reason he had a lot of these items was because he wanted to create a woman suit to literally become his dead mother. So he would often wear these breasts and these faces. Again, sounds familiar, right? He also later admitted that he would often wear these body parts and then go out and dance in the Wisconsin moonlight. 'Cause why wouldn't he? After he was caught, Ed also confessed to the shooting death of Mary Hogan in 1954. And he was suspected of several other murders, but again, those are the only 2 that he confessed to and was tried for. And by definition, you gotta kill at least 3 to be a serial killer. Ed was convicted of first-degree murder, but actually was found legally insane, so spent the rest of his life in a mental institution. In addition to Psycho, he also directly inspired Silence of the Lambs and Texas Chainsaw. Without Psycho, we wouldn't have had Halloween, Friday the 13th, Scream. So Ed's basically responsible for all the movies that we know and love.